Hello everyone, Luke here. Now before we get into the chapter, I just want to make a very quick announcement. Obviously, as we all know from the ending of the chapter that I'm going to be talking about, which was one that came out last week, there's no chapter this week of The Promised Neverland. So hopefully next Friday, because I'm off, I'll be able to get the chapter out on that day. But because I'm off and I've got a lot planned, we might not be able to get it out on the day in particular. We'll just have to wait and see. And let's be honest, after the last few chapters, after the last couple of chapters, which were not the best, I must say. Looking back over them, I was quite right that they weren't the best chapters. Now they weren't the worst chapters, but they weren't necessarily the best. I mean, all the problems, I can understand when people had them, where they were coming from with the actual chapters and the way Norman's character presented. And that ending of the last chapter, that just... You know my problems with it, because it just ruins the philosophy of the demons. It's like, oh, once the demon's eye is shut out, then, yep, that is it. They're completely dead. But last chapter... I was like destroyed, so oh no, I'm still alive somehow. Well, hopefully this chapter that we're going to be talking about today will more than make up for it. Alright, so this will be chapter 155, titled Resurrection. Really? That's the title we're going with here. Okay, I guess it sort of makes sense based on what happens in the chapter today, but for crying out loud, resurrection is like one of the most cliched words to give anything. It's like Alien Resurrection, Halloween Resurrection, Samurai Resurrection. Yes, there is a film called Samurai Resurrection, and RoboCop Resurrection. There's a film called RoboCop Resurrection. Ugh. Seriously, what is it with that word? I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, like if something's coming back to life, they're being resurrection. But seriously, at least have some creativity and not just go for cliched words. Alright, so we pick up sort of like, I don't know where the timeline is at this moment in time from where it was at the end of the last chapter, but we pick up with a lot of the demon kids just running away, basically in the same manner as we found with the Gracefield kids when they were first going through that forest and they had that wild demon just like jump out and just start chasing them. It's pretty much the same here, where we have all these demons just running away from like this big Goliath of a wild demon that's just terrorizing them and waiting to actually devour and consume their flesh. As we get the caption which reads endless chaos, and we see one particular now I'm not sure, I'll have to go back and check. I'll do it once we do the jump cut to when I'm talking next time, but I believe this kid right here is one of the kids that was introduced at the beginning of the arc where we were in that demon village, and we actually saw them just actually hanging about and just chilling out and doing their own little thing. In fact, I'm going to do it now. I'm just going to do it now. I'm not going to do any jump cuts. We're going to go back and we're going to actually try and figure out if this demon here is actually the same demon child that we actually did see at the beginning of the arc. And it's funny how they said that the arc wasn't going to go on for that very long, but it's been going on for this is actually the longest arc, and the author said that I wasn't going to go a little bit further than that. So I reckon we've got maybe I'd say another half a year before the series actually starts wrapping up. So around June of 2020, I'm going to be saying that's when The Promised Neverland is going to come to an end. But anyway, we're going to go a little bit back in time, guys. Bear with me on this. I apologise for this. So, I believe it's chapter 102 that they first showed up. Let's see here. Oh no, it was chapter 101. So we're gonna go back a little bit further. Apologise for the awkward silence here when I'm just trying to get to it. Let's see. Oh no! It was chapter 100. Blimey, blimey. Let's see. Come on. Oh come on! Okay, I apologise. I'm actually trying to find out where this chapter actually was after the chapter after the time skip. So we're gonna be going a little bit. Oh, here we go. Please let this be it. No, it isn't. Okay, guys, I apologise. I'm gonna do a quick quick camera cut here, and then when we come back, I'll actually find the chapter where we actually first discovered that demon at the beginning of chapter 155, who was just screaming in terror. Okay, so I did actually manage to find that chapter where those kid demons were around that village, that family of demons that were around that village at the beginning of the arc, and appropriately was found it, the chapter that they were in. But no, it's not the same demon. But I just thought the mask looked a little bit similar, so I had to check on it. But no, it's a completely different demon altogether. But anyway, getting into the chapter proper, rather than going off on another tangent, they're continuously being pursued by these wild demons, as the wild demons are just shot down by Ayashi, and the demons are like confused about everything that's going on here. Like, how would they shut down before they just get the command of just run now? And without any hesitation, they continue running as the creatures are just towering over them. And it seems like this demon that this like little child demon that's running away from these wild demons is scared. Is actually the wild demons are actually their parents, as they call out "Daddy, Mummy," as they're just towering over them like a big monstrosity of just like no remembrance of who they are, or who this demon in front of them is actually their daughter. So whatever, but they have no recollection of it because of the poison that's basically rejuvenated them back into their wild state. So now they're just mindless beasts now. And as they're towering over them, and Don's looking on and just grunting, he's like, no one is dying here. Like he's like, despite the fact that it's a demon child, it's still a child either way, and he has to do something to save it from being devoured. Even though they are enemies and they're on the opposite side, it's still a child, and he's still got to do something to actually make it live longer, to actually have the capacity to have a life themselves, rather than being food. Because if he didn't, then he would just be like a complete hypocrite. Like, okay, so it's all right for human children to like be free and not have to worry about being here, but what about the demon children that are like not at that level of eating humans, that like they're just completely innocent beings in this situation that's just caught in this crossfire of just endless war between humans and demons. And anyway, continuing on, as they shoot the arrows, him and Gilda says, but it's really hard to stop so many of them without killing. Ayashi is amazing, and what's more, they're regenerating right away. So even though they've been rejuvenated back into their original state, they're still able to maintain that level, maintain that power of being able to rejuvenate themselves, because even though they drank the poison and they're still in wild beasts, they weren't killed, so they still have their abilities to regenerate their limbs and anything like that. As Gilda goes on to say, Misuka's cursed blood can restore degraded demons to human form. If it works for this poison, we could before Hayate cuts her off and says, but with things like this, how would we make them drink the blood? And we see Songju step forward and just slash his arm off, because he has the cursed blood as well in him, because he got it from Misuka as well. And this shocks both not only Gilda and Hayate, but also the demon children that are just running away from like this wild demon that was their parents. And Songju's like, fastest way to know, and he just flings his arm right into that wild demon's eye. It catches it and just swallows it whole. So, well, I guess that's one way to do it. It's like, even though Songju's probably in pain at this moment in time, it's like, screw this, we're not waiting, we're just going to do it right now. Just give them my arm and get this over with without any of this bullshit going on around us. And Ayashi and Gilda just look on in amazement as they wait in anticipation as this demon is just devouring Songju's hand. And also, because Songju is a demon in the south, he can regenerate his arm. It'll probably just take him a little bit of time to actually get to that. Now, with Yusuka and her cursed blood, I have an idea of like, what if the demon god actually sent Yusuka down? So basically, she's the Jesus of the Promised Neverland. That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much what she is at this moment. Like the Jesus of the Promised Neverland, and how other demons feared her power, and feared her power, and her being the daughter of God, basically, the female Jesus, and they wanted to get rid of her, but whereas with Jesus and how he was crucified, Musica managed to get away. But still, it wouldn't surprise me if that turns out to be the case, that that the demon god sent down his only daughter to keep peace and maintain balance in the world as basically the female Jesus. As the demon who ate Sanji's arm begins to maintain their form and get back to on a level of where they're actually able to be humanized in a certain way, Gilda goes, "It's working," as the demon kids are like, "Mommy, Daddy, thank you, oh thank you," and we see Musica holding up a cup of her blood and saying, "It will be all right. Anyone who drinks this will be restored, and you won't ever degenerate again." Okay. Seriously, I cannot. Seriously, Musica has to be the daughter of the demon god, like his only daughter sent down from the heavens, from that realm, to actually maintain order and balance in on both sides, both demon and human side. Hence that. Oh my god, that just makes so much sense now. Why Musica was like this mysterious figure that just came from lands far beyond, and nobody knew where she came from. And like, okay, she's got a cup of blood, or why? Like, this is the blood of Christ, basically. Like, seriously, I can't be the only one who notices that Musica is basically the female Jesus of the Promised Neverland. And also it would make perfect sense why she wouldn't be going around and attacking anyone, or trying to eat the humans, because she's like a peaceful soul. She's like, "Come here, my children. You are all children of God." Basically, like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't pick up on that, right? Like literally, I am just figuring this out now, just figuring out, connecting the dots together. Like it just makes so much sense. Okay, so yeah, I'm going with it. Musica is female Jesus, and she's the daughter of the demon god. Makes about as much sense as anything else. And if people disagree with me, I would like to know what you think. What you think this could actually be, because I can't see it being any different, other than the fact that she's a god. She has the power. She has the power to basically cure sickness, or cure sickness for the demons. She has the cup. She has the cup with the wine in, all the blood, and like, this is my blood. Do this in memory of me, something like that, and it's like, oh, if you do this, you'll be whole again. You won't degenerate anyway. Basically like Jesus curing leprosy or something like that. But seriously, guys, I can't be the only one who's not noticed this. As one of the demon kids drinks Musica's blood, Don goes, "Hell yeah, we've got this. We're going to stop this genocide. Watch and see. So we'll leave Norman to you, Emma and Ray." Yeah, Don, things aren't going to be as simple as you think at this point. But anyway, that's all we see of the outside of the castle, and what's actually going on at this point. As we see like just Musica's blood being passed around by everyone to basically prevent them from degenerating and get rid of the poison that's basically diving in them at this moment in time. But anyway, we cut back to inside the castle as we pick up from the end of last chapter, where we see Cecil reaching in as the Queen comes back to life and is ready to devour Norman, as he's going, "Boss!" Just reaching out for her as Norman is basically is basically staring down this monstrosity of the former demon queen, coming to basically attack him, as we get the caption which reads "Absolute Despair," and this is the title page, before we see just like a shower of blood and everybody's just like stunned reaction of just what's actually going down. And in true fashion, it was Cecil that actually saved Norman, which I believe, looking here, his foot was actually bitten off. Yeah, his foot was bitten off by the Demon Queen, as we see her devouring it, as everyone just rushes to him. It's like, Cecil, stay with me right now, as we see I believe... Okay, so this is kind of hard to make out, guys, because we see a lot of the bodies just rising up, and just being absorbed back into the queen, as we see this towering monstrosity of a behemoth of like, of like just this mass of like monstrous goo, fatness, or like, how do you explain some of this stuff here? As we see Ray going, she's eating them. And we see just like other arms just like crawling out, like she's becoming some sort of like spider type demon creature, as everyone's demanded to stay back, and they go, this thing is devouring everything it can get its hands on. So I don't know where this actually going. Maybe the royal family has just drinking so much of Musica's blood over the years, or something, that it's developed their bodies differently. That's the only way I can describe it, and the only explanation I can think of for why the demon queen did not die, even though her eye was like just basically stabbed out, and therefore she should have been dead. As we get another look of like the monstrosity of the demon queen, well, the former demon queen, like the spider type demon queen sort of thing, Vincent goes on to say, impossible, it's getting the corpses contaminated by the toxin and absorbing them completely unfazed, which again is a very appropriate reaction, because they didn't anticipate something like this going around. I mean, I knew something was going to happen. I mean, I knew that this wouldn't be just as easy, but I didn't expect this, and I don't think even they would even them expect so. As we see Emma just trying to dodge one of the tendrils that is coming after her, and we see a genuine look of fear on Emma's face, of just the fact like, oh my god, we're fucked, basically. As she goes on and says, and its body keeps growing. No, not just growing. What is that? Is that even a demon anymore? No, it's not a demon anymore. It's like, okay, how can I I've got to show you it, guys. I've really got to show you it, because like, seriously, if I can like, seriously, what do you call that? What is that? Don't know if you can actually see it, but seriously, what is that? Like, how are you supposed to describe this? It's like some sort of like Goliath, angel, spider, scissor, like, there's no words to describe it. And I think David on Control Chaos actually put it best when I saw the Discord. He was like, WTF, and I was like, yeah, that is pretty much accurate at this point, because it's like, you can't describe that demon. You really can't. Let's see again. Look, seriously, can anybody tell me, how would you describe that? Seriously. Like, already I'm loving this chapter even more, even though it's completely going off the rails of just how insane it is right now. I think it's just the other saying, like, well, we're in the climax, so screw it, we're going nuts, and going nuts is exactly what they gave us. Ray emphasised how just insane this is by going, it's all messed up. Yeah, pretty much. In fact, I'll probably use that statement, it's all messed up, just for the title of the actual review itself, because that perfectly sums up my reaction to all of this. Like, it's just all messed up completely at this point. Yeah, really, it really is. Like, Ray, you said it best, it's all messed up. But anyway, continuing on, we get Vincent just going, the combination of energy intake with the toxins has engaged the metamorphosis cell in some runaway process. Okay, so it's kind of like mega cancer. I guess that's the way you can describe it, like how she's just absorbed so much toxin into her, like just the cells have just like expanded, and it's just like messed up her internal system. Like, it's just accelerating all components of her, just a miraculous state here, to the point that she is so unrecognizable here that anything is possible at this point. Anyway, after everyone has just like witnessed this behemoth of a monstrosity that just like in front of them, we see Norman looking back over at Cecilo's condition and going, not Norman. We see Ray looking back over at Cecilo's condition and going, "What now? We can't just leave this. We can't just leave this thing." As Norman's just focusing on Cecilo, but also focusing on what has actually happened in front of them. As he goes on to say, "The canal was destroyed. I'm sure of it. I confirmed it beyond doubt with my own eyes." And yeah, we saw it as well. The canal was destroyed, so she should be dead at this point. But Ray comes up with a solution of what is actually going on. It's like, he says, well, either the Queen can survive the destruction of her core, or the Queen, maybe all royals have more than one core. Okay, so again, this might seem like it's messing up with the rules, but again, because they're royalty, they might actually have access to some special means that even the lower classes are. Because remember, the whole reason why they banished Giran in the first place was because he was trying to give sources out to every one of the people, whereas the Queen and the royals just wanted to keep it all for themselves. So maybe it's just the royals, like maybe it's just the Queen's line, or it's like the whole noble house in general that just have these more than one cores. So I'm gonna go with the idea of like it's just the royals that have more than one core. And the reason why I can back this up is because when we were wrapping up Goldie Pond and we got all the bodies of all the demons, the one body that was left that wasn't there was Lewis's. So this probably explains what happened to Lewis, how even though his core in his eye was destroyed, the other core that was in his body, because remember, he is the Queen's brother, so he's basically a prince, basically. So he's the royal family as well. Even though he had the title of Archduke, he was still a prince because he was related to the Queen and the king of the royal family. And so when his core was destroyed, he probably was knocked unconscious, and then when he found out like Goldie Pond was being destroyed, he just escaped right away, because he has vast amounts of teleportation in the same way that Songju has. And again, this gets me the idea of like Songju may be connected to Lewis and the Queen in some way, and maybe we'll be finding out that in the next few chapters. We don't know, because Lewis might actually possibly be making a return to the series at some point in the future. Maybe not in the next chapter, but maybe in the next couple of chapters he might be making a return sooner rather than later, because again, we need to know what happened to Lewis before the end of the series. As Emma looks in shock, someone realises that royal blood is in a class of its own. And again, this actually does make a lot of sense. And now it makes a lot more sense of why the Queen was able to actually come back to life, because like any royal family has basically access to materials far greater than any normal citizen can comprehend. It happens in fiction all the time. It happens in real life as well, because the Queen of the UK has access to far grander things than the normal citizens like you or me, like the viewers here. She probably has more access, but whereas this Queen is more malicious, our Queen is more kind and caring, and is willing to share the country in like her grandeur and how prosper her country has become, basically. So yeah, that probably does help explain why the Queen was able to come back to life. Although really, it does seem like a Deus Ex Machina just to keep the Queen in the series. I don't know how I feel about this really, but I guess it does kind of make sense given the fact that in other works of fiction this kind of happens all the time when you're dealing with royal bloodline. Anyway, continuing on, as the still attending Cecilo, Norman says to Vincent that he should take Cecilo and lead the others back to HQ, and Vincent is still reluctant to actually listen to Norman, because based on what's actually happened to him and how he's sort of like done a complete 180 from their original plan. But nevertheless, he's still deferring to Norman as the true de facto leader, even though he's kind of begrudgingly accepted this. Although I don't think it's going to last. I feel like once they're out of this situation, I feel like Vincent is just going to go off on his own and do his own thing. But anyway, continue on. He says, and you, before Norman confirms that he'll stay here with Sassy and deal with this thing somehow, and then follow them back. But in that case, it's dangerous here. Go. I'm counting on you. And Vincent, despite being reluctant, he still agrees to it, and he goes along with Norman's plan as Norman is carrying out. I believe it is just. Yeah, no, it's not just Sassy. It's Barbara, because she was the other one that was wounded as well. So anyway, as Vincent is carrying Cecil and Barbara back to the HQ, Norman, Ray, Sassy, and Emma are just standing there, just looking at this behemoth who's continuously transforming before their eyes. And Ray's going, "What now?" Before they go on standby and prepare for battle, and they're like, "It's coming." As Sassy continues to just slash down tendrils, we hear a voice calling out to Emma, Ray, and Norman as we go, "Emma, Ray, Norman." It's been a while, and then we get like a massive reveal where we see one of the tendrils form into Sister Crone, or Crona as the English dub actually referred her to. Again, I don't know why they changed that. Like, seriously, I actually tweeted to the voice actor of Crone in the English dub and said, "Hey, congratulations on your first role and everything," because again, it was her first role, her first anime role, and she did a pretty decent job, all things considered. But that's the one question I wanted to ask her. I just said, like, why did they actually change it to Crona? And I never got a reply to that, so maybe they thought that that's how it was supposed to be pronounced. I don't know, but anyway, that's a minor nitpick on her part, and I can't fault her on that. But I would just like to know that. I'd just really like to know that. But anyway, yeah, with this, okay, so my only guess of this is that fact that Crona was sacrificed to like a banquet with the royal nobles, and was actually devoured in her. So it does make sense why she's actually here, because she's been devoured by the Queen, and since the Queen devoured everyone, that includes her as well. So that's probably the explanation that I can think of here. The fact that when Crone was actually sacrificed, when Crone was actually killed and given like the Gumpa ritual, her body and her meat was actually transferred to the royal family and actually consumed by them, and hence they've been consumed by the Queen. So she's consumed Crone, and that's why she is here now. But of course, that just freaks Emma out some more. And again, it's nice to have some good old-fashioned creepy Sister Crone here, because she's like, "Hi, Emma." It's like, whoa, okay. As Emma goes, "What? How?" And then we see just like everyone's faces as we see. I believe it's Giran, Ivek. Yeah. It's basically all the families of Romans who are just coming out in force now and going, "Damn!" As Giran goes, "Damn Queen," and Ivek goes, "Your Majesty, Lord Giran, Father, Mother," as we see just like a bunch of the Gracefield House kids. It's probably the ones that we're actually most acquainted with, like the ones that were actually named. Like I believe one of them is one of them Connie. I can't see Connie here, but I guarantee Connie is amongst all of these. As we get Emma going, "No, this can't be happening. All who were eaten are," as we see everyone just looking on in shock and horror, and even Norman at this point is just sweating, dripping sweat, showing just a great deal of fear in his eyes now, as he goes, "I have no idea what is going on anymore. What should we do about this?" And then we see, I believe, yeah, okay, so let's see, okay, so, yeah. Okay, so we see like just like a chasm open up as we see most of the like just a visage just appear. Like, okay, so we see all the people that were consumed by the demons, like just like crawling around, like just like just basically like an egg, just like crawling around it as as like the body of the Queen just steps out into the light, just like cluck, 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 cluck. as we get standing at the apex of all demons. And that's when the chapter ends, and it says the authors will take a break next issue for research. We'll be back in Shonen Jump 48. Okay, so that's the end of the chapter. Okay, so better than the last two chapters, that's what I'll say, but it was just like a massive mindfuck, or just like a mamma jamma of a mindfuck, but still, it was pretty crazy. I just enjoyed it. Now, the Queen's face is just blank at this point, so any guesses as to who it is? Now, one major theory that people are putting out is the fact that the face is going to be Isabella's. Like, it's going to be Mama. And that would be interesting because not only would it kill two birds with one stone, like find out what exactly happened to Mama, but also it will be the moral dilemma of Emma and Ray actually having to... Emma, Ray and Norman actually have to face down their mother again, and seeing how much they've actually learned from their time in Gracefield House. Or another possible theory is that it's Lewis back for a rematch. So either one of those two I'd be perfectly fine with, because again, we don't know what happened to Lewis after Goldie Pond, but we got a clear idea based on what happened in this chapter of like how the royal family has more than one core, and they have access to higher levels of advancement in their bodies. So maybe the Queen's face is going to turn out to either be Lewis or Mama, or possibly both. Like, that would be an interesting twist if we had Isabella on one side and Lewis on the other. And yeah, that would give a really great introspective, like, two of the biggest villains of the series sharing the same body. But that's besides the point. As much as I would love to see Lewis return, I feel like we should find out more about what happened to Isabella, because that's been a mystery that's just been around for so many years. I think people have actually forgotten about it. But yeah, it would be pretty interesting to find out if that is actually going to be Isabella's on that blank face, if that's going to be Isabella's face, and actually find out what exactly happened to her after after Gracefield House, and what happened when the kids escaped and where she actually went to, because it's so wrapped in mystery at this point. But again, if it is Lewis, again, I wouldn't be disappointed with that. But as much as I love Lewis, I would love it to be Isabella even more, just for the fact that it's just been a longer mystery of what happens to her. And hey, who knows, maybe Lewis might actually show up again as the final villain after we've dealt with this, like as the big actual final villain of the series. Or maybe Peter Rattari will be eaten by Lewis. Yeah, that's something I could actually see happening, like Lewis eating Peter Rattari and then just consuming all his intelligence or something like that. But anyway, I would much prefer it to be Isabella's face on here rather than Lewis's face. But either way, I'd be happy with it. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter, and whose face do you think is going to be on the Queen's at this point? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lash Luke signing off. Later, guys.